Oh, and I want to check it over here. All right. It looks like we are live. Welcome, mighty mystery friends, family, and fans. I'm your on-air host, Sarah DeVello, and I am thrilled to be hosting Amy B. Scher today to unravel what is perhaps the greatest mystery of all, why you're so goddamn tired all the time. Amy, welcome to Mighty Mysteries. Tell us about your book.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and we can match here.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me, and it's so great to be here with all of you. So, about my book. My book is called How to Heal Yourself from Depression When No One Else Can, and it is for everyone and anyone who doesn't know why they feel so blue, blah, drained, buried, exhausted. How many descriptions do we have for this last year, right? We've come up with all of the words for it, I think. But really, this is a self-guided program to stop feeling like shit. Hopefully, I'm allowed to say that here. It's in the title, so I'm allowed to say it. But this is really a workshop in a book that takes you through step by step, figuring out how you have become disconnected from yourself and what to do to reconnect to who you really are, which is where the joy comes from.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And I don't know about everyone else watching, but I can relate to every single one of those. Not only do I have the winter blues, the winter blahs, it's a feel real of 10 degrees outside here in Boston. Of course I feel that way. But we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic. So I've got the pandemic blahs. And then I technically am doing less than I've ever done, but yet I'm more tired than I've ever been. So I'm so excited to have you on today and to talk about all of this. Who can relate?
Everyone, we have double hands up.
Hands up. So I just want to welcome everybody on Facebook. If you've been here before, you know how it works. And if you're new, welcome. Here's how it works. Every Tuesday, I connect you with our featured authors right here on Mighty Mysteries, and you can ask them anything. So you can ask Amy about her writing process, about her book, about her work, anything that's weighing on your mind within reason.
Actually, I'm such an open book. Anybody, I don't think I've ever said no to answering a question. So let's challenge our listeners today.
Okay, Amy has just declared Mighty Mysteries the Las Vegas of interviews. So what happens on Mighty Mysteries stays on Mighty Mysteries. So if you have any questions for Amy, you can just go ahead and get them started in the comments, and Amy will get to them. So I want to welcome Darlene. I want to welcome Kate. I want to welcome Nancy. Welcome Gail, top community member. Welcome Joanne. Welcome Anne. Welcome everybody. So I know it always takes me a moment or two to think of questions. So I have got to share I just knocked my mic. Some of the incredible praise that this book is earning. So Amy, your work, you're an internationally renowned energy therapist, and Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, who is a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School right here across the river in Boston, also the best-selling author of Brotherhood with Deepak Chopra, says Amy Scher understands the pivotal role of the body, mind, and spirit in attaining true and complete healing. Amazing. Elizabeth Gilbert, #1 New York Times bestselling author of Eat, Pray, Love, Big Magic and City of Girls. Wow. Says Amy Scher is a brave warrior and a wonderful writer. She is a living example, very much living, of what it looks like when a woman takes her health, her heart, and her destiny into her own hands. My hope is that this book will inspire many other women to do the same. The Los Angeles Review of Books says in her stunning memoir, "This is How I Saved My Life," the refrain, "We are healing. We are the healing we've been waiting for," rings throughout, a beautiful testament to resilience that veers from the comical to the tragic. Now, that was your memoir. You've since written several how-to books, including your latest, How to Heal Yourself from Depression, which we're here to talk about today. Amy, what's it been like to receive incredible praise like that from such famous and incredibly well-respected authors?
I have to pinch myself. I also have to give credit, not to me, but to these wildly generous authors who take the time to read, to understand other authors' work and support it, because that is a huge deal. And Sarah, you and I both know as authors, we can get so wrapped up in our own projects that it can be hard to get away from that, or it can be too easy to get away from that, and we have to be careful. And it's just so kind and generous. I'm so humbled to have received that praise.
Oh, Amy, you're being so modest. Clearly, your books have earned that praise, but
Thank
absolutely
you.
amazing. Gail is saying hi. She's a top community member. Anissa Joy, perfect name there for this book, is also saying hi to top community members. Alan Nunnally saying hi.
Hi.
Welcome, everybody. So, yeah, I mean, just incredible validation of not only the work that you do, but the books that you write. Absolutely incredible. So in your memoir, you traveled to India to receive the first stem cell transplant to treat Lyme disease. You come back, it seems like it's working. Then a year later, seems like not so much. And you eventually realize, I'm summarizing here, that this is that the path to true and complete healing is within us. What was that like to realize? Was it empowering? Was it overwhelming? Tell us.
It was empowering, it was overwhelming, and it was a little bit annoying because I had traveled all over the world looking for a cure from chronic Lyme disease. And it's really interesting because I have such a holistic view of what it means to heal and how we heal. It takes all parts of us. It takes all kinds of things, looking at the physical, looking at the emotional, looking at the spiritual, looking at nutritional, everything. But I think the part that many of us miss, at least for a long, long time until we are forced to look at it, is who we are, how we are in the world, our own patterns, how we show up for ourselves. And that was the piece that I was missing that contributed to my permanent and complete healing. I had done all of the physical. I had been to therapy. I had checked everything off the list, like us perfectionists do so well, right? I had done all that. I was so proud of my list. I had done everything. I had done everything that the doctors told me. And yet there was more, because there was more that I needed to do. And it was all inner work. It was all things that no one else could have done for me. And so that's sort of how, after I had this experimental stem cell transplant and I sort of relapsed to some extent, I sort of sat there and thought, well, what else is there to do? And that was when I really truly understood, not positive thinking, not that type of mind-body psychology, not that type of mind-body connection, but the true mind-body connection, which is who am I? Who am I in this world? How can I show up for myself? How do I set boundaries? How do I let go of fear? That stuff, not just think happy thoughts. And that was really the connection I needed to fully embrace healing.
Oh, I love all of that. And it resonates so deeply and so much. Thank you. And through that healing, through that realization and shift in yourself, and then practicing those tools, you attained your own healing permanently and completely, as you like to say. And then you launched this whole career sharing those tools with others and have gone on to write book after well-received book. Did you always know you wanted to be a writer? What's that path been like for you?
I always wanted to be a writer. I never wanted to write about this. That's the truth of it. I love writing about this, but I never wanted to. I never set off. After I healed, I was like, done with that. Great. I'm just going to move back on in my life. I was in marketing. I went back to my job in marketing, and I just kept going forward. And then there was this pull, and there were emails from people, and there was like this sort of drawing me back in. It didn't happen right away, but it happened shortly after. And I sort of ended up writing and doing this work with other people. And that was my way into writing books. I had written for publications prior. I had written a blog. I had done all the things that we do to just keep to write, because we love to write. But I never intended on writing about this. Although I think, sometimes we live the stories we need to, because they are part of what we need to write. And I think for me, that was true. Ooh. So now I have written 3 books on the topic and 1 memoir that covers the topic as well. And it will be interesting to see what I do next, because I think this is sort of this, I feel like I completed what I have had to say in order to help people heal.
Oh, I love that. And I also sort of love the idea that, as you said, we live the stories we write. But also, I remember Elizabeth Gilbert, who has given you such an incredible rave review of your memoir. Again, amazing, amazing, amazing. In her book, Big Magic, she writes an analogy about basically writers being like taxi drivers, and you're driving around and you put your little taxi light on, and you never know who's going to get in. You never know what story's going to get in. So these seem to be the stories that got in your cab, Amy.
Yes, yes. And the How to Heal series is a 3-part series. It's a 3-book series.
Mm.
And the first one is about healing from chronic illness. The second one is about anxiety. And the third one is about depression. And I think that's like the perfect family. Like I always knew I wanted to write 3 of these books. I never exactly knew which topics they would be. So those topics did get in my taxi. And I drove with them for a very long time, each of them, as we do when we write a book. And I feel like it's complete now. I feel like that ride is really complete. You know, I may be one of those people that like keeps having kids and says, this is the last one. And then I like decide I want to get pregnant again. So I may be one of those people that says, you know, I'm done writing about healing for now. And then next week I have a great idea that I need to write about. So we'll see. But yes, I love that. I mean, I obviously love Elizabeth Gilbert, and I love that analogy because the stories do come to us in a way. They really do.
Oh, and how long were you driving around with this baby in the back of your taxi?
So this is a good question. Everyone always asks. Number one thing people ask me is how long did it take to write? And I always say it always takes exactly as long as I have. So this book, I think I had maybe 9 months to write, 8 months to write. That's how long I wrote it in. Because it takes exactly as long as you have. And if you have forever, it takes forever. And if you have 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes. And I really have learned this. So this one had a deadline, and I finished it in the deadline they gave me.
Anissa is laughing at your taxi at you at the got in my taxi comment. And then I am also cackling over here. So Amy, any idea who's going to get in your taxi next?
I'm actually working on a fiction book. So that is a totally different world, which has taken me far longer than 9 months to write. I think I'm on like year 7. I've lost track. But I do intend to finish it this year. So that is my next taxi ride will be fictional, where I get to make stuff up, which is a joy after writing about such heavy topics. Even though I don't feel like my books are heavy, I try to stay lighthearted. Nobody wants to talk about a depressing topic and feel depressed. So I always try to uplift readers and myself while I'm writing and reading. But my next book is definitely just different, which is fun.
Yay, that's so fun. And 7 years, I can relate. I am 7 years into mine, and it is a long, slow journey. And Nissa Joy is saying a fiction book. I can't wait. I think we're all excited
Thank
to
you.
hear that. So, Amy, what's it like for you as a writer? I mean, do you rise with the sun? Do you spend your days, pontificating the world over a cup of coffee and jotting down your brilliant thoughts? I mean, are you Hemingway over there clawing your way through the desert? What's it look like?
Yes, it looks like that. It does not look like a rise and shine, happy in the morning. I am not a morning person. I never will be. I get up early, but I don't communicate early. So in any way, not even with myself. It really varies from day to day. I have recently come to practice writing every day, no matter what, doing something, no matter what, which has been a really good practice for me to see that the times when nothing feels like it's there, it will come if I sit there. But if I get up, it doesn't come. So I really have been more disciplined with myself about sitting down to do the work. And if after a while it doesn't come, that's okay. I can get up. But I am the type who likes to get up after 5 minutes or check Facebook after 3 minutes if nothing's happening. And I have learned that creates a situation where nothing has room to happen. So writing for me looks very different every day. But as I go further in my career, I do find that I'm becoming more disciplined, and that is helping because I can tend to be very, very, very relaxed, which I like. I like that about my personality. But too relaxed with no goals and no intention and no discipline is actually not healthy for me and probably for most people. So I'm trying to find, like, now that I'm in my 40s, I feel like time to find balance. And I am finding that there is a fine balance of forcing yourself to do something, to hold yourself accountable for the art that you want to make, while also being relaxed when that doesn't come.
I love that. Now, when I had Dean Koontz on the show, he said he gets his butt in the chair at 7 a.m. And same thing, he doesn't get up until the words have come. So if he doesn't leave the chair until 5 p.m. So if the words don't come, he still doesn't let himself get up. And eventually they do come. How long does it take for you to usually come? Is it like an hour? Is it 15 minutes? When
It
does
can
it
be
start
like
flowing?
10 or 15 minutes. And I will actually just write stuff like, I know that I want this to happen in the scene, but I don't know what it should be. Maybe it should be this. No, actually, that's a terrible idea. I will literally type to myself, and that usually helps things come. Because I think it
Ooh.
starts like a communication process between me and myself. And that can be really beneficial instead of just sitting here staring at a wall, which I would love to do, but it just doesn't seem to work for me.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, okay, so you write your book and then do you edit it yourself? Do you send it straight into your editor? Are you just like, take it from me? I mean, what's the next steps for you?
I edited it myself like 5 times. I edit
Mhm.
it myself a lot. I am very much, and I've heard there's such contradictory things about this, but I am very much a messy first draft person. My first draft could be shown to no one. It is that messy that it almost sometimes looks like a bunch of notes. And I will leave parts in it that say, I need something better here. This sucks. I can't even see this for myself. Like, I will leave notes like that in my first draft, sometimes even my second draft. So I just try to keep going, write it all, start over, fix it up through the whole thing. Start again, fix it up through the whole thing. But I am very into slowly transforming the drafts until they actually look like a book. But my first draft never looks like a book. My second draft doesn't even so much look like a book. I know mentors and authors who say, don't leave holes in your work. Don't leave things too messy for when you go back. But listen, if I couldn't leave things messy, I wouldn't do them at all. It would be too stressful for me. So this way, I feel like I do it and then I have time to fix it.
And what would you say are do you notice that when you're in that 5 draft revision process, do you notice that you tend to have a few writerly bad habits? If so, what are they? Or is it always different?
I don't know. Like, what's a writerly bad habit? I probably have them all. Maybe I shouldn't find out what they are.
Well,
Probably leaving holes in my story is a writerly bad habit, but it's the only way that I write. So I'm gonna have to stick with that.
it was interesting. We had Danielle Marshall, who's the editorial director at Lake Union, on last week. She's the head acquisitions editor over there. And she was saying that the first thing she works with authors is to identify their bad habits. Needless to say, my tiny ears perked up and I thought, oh my God, I have them all. So I asked, what are some writerly bad habits? And she said it can vary from everything from using the same sentence structure over and over. If it's an especially unusual sentence structure, it sticks out even more, to using the same word over and over again, especially if it's an unusual word, it sticks out more and more.
Yes.
To things like, as she said, oftentimes writers will rely on the crutch of the protagonist wondering things aloud as a way to communicate to the audience. Needless to say, I'm guilty of all of these.
I do all of those things. I think those are all for me, those are all first draft things. As long as those things don't end up in the final draft. For me, because of my personality, and I bet a lot of people listening will relate, if I start worrying too much about how things are coming out, I will be completely blocked. So I don't worry about habits or repeats or leaving holes, because the way for me to get through a story and actually have anything at all is to not worry about those things.
Yes. So that's something I struggle with a lot, is not worrying about them, because I noticed that I have 2 brains. It's a rare medical trait. No, just kidding. But I have my writer creator brain and I have my editor brain, and I can't write if there's an editor brain being like, this is stupid, you suck. And so it's almost a matter of silencing that part so that I can create in the first place, so that later I can then tear apart what I've created so carefully.
Right, which is why I think that I write and edit separately. I don't really try to edit so much while I write. That would be a disaster if you're trying to edit such a messy draft. I write and rewrite and finesse, and then I really go back and look for these sort of things that might break the rules.
Yes, exactly. But even then, I know what's coming eventually down the road, and I find myself cringing.
Yes, it's a lot of work. Editing is as much, if not more work than writing.
Oh my God. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my God. And it's not my favorite part.
Yes, I
Um,
agree.
Anissa would like to know, is your writing process different when writing fiction as opposed to nonfiction? Anissa, great question. Amy, give us the skinny.
Yeah, so it's not different, but it's harder when I write fiction because writing nonfiction, I already know what's going to happen. I never write a story in order. I write in snippets and then I start to fill in. So I write what I know or what I'm called to write first. I don't force things that I don't know, that I'm not connected to. So with all of my
Oh,
books, I don't start at chapter 1 and end at chapter 10. I really do write in snippets that come to me. And then I start to put those in together in chapters. I start to elaborate, but I definitely have the same process, which is a disaster. That's my process. My writing process is an absolute disaster. Only half the time I outline. I've been trying to be better about it, but if things don't come to me, sometimes structure doesn't come to me, but what comes to me is a conversation between characters or a scene. And I will write those even if I don't know where they're going to go. And over time, I will find a place for those.
I love that. Anissa, oh, I'm sorry. Did you have more to say,
I
Amy?
was just going to say, the only part of my process that is steady is that I write. I try really hard not to get caught up in the organization of it, the process of it, because the only thing that matters at the end is that you get something down on paper. And I find that so many people get blocked by these rules about how to write and that you have to outline first. And then we get caught up in that we haven't done it right. And so for me, it's like, however the words get on paper is fine. That's fine for me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I have to ask, do you ever use some of the tools you use for healing for your writing?
I do. I do. So I use tapping, which is a technique that releases stuck emotional energy from the body, because there are three things that I think writers really, really get stuck on: perfectionism, indecisiveness, and inaction. And those are three things that I really work on for myself when I get stuck. And tapping is one of the techniques that I use with clients for healing and students for healing, but it's also something that I use for myself and that I use with other writers that I have worked with on their books to release the energy, the fear that comes along with feeling like we have to be perfect, making decisions, taking action. And so I do use my techniques for this purpose too.
I love that. I love that. So perfectionism, indecisiveness,
Inaction. Those
and
are the three things that I think keep writers stuck. And if you can sort of break through with those, you've essentially eliminated a lot of the blocks from actually finishing your project.
who else can relate? Perfectionism, indecision, and inaction. Me.
That's probably true for everything in some way, not just writers, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Amy, here it is, February. The days are getting longer, but they're not that long yet. It's brutally cold out here on the East Coast, and much of the other parts of the world. And we're still in the middle of a pandemic. And my God, it's March again. So we've been 1 year in. I could have never imagined this is where we'd be. I know a lot of us are struggling in various ways with the effects of that, both with low energy, exhaustion, depression, and depression that may not look like, the commercials with the lady on the couch who can't get the energy to play with her kid, but, just in various ways, like low energy, just sort of feeling overwhelmed, as well as with, on the anxiety end of things where you're just, worried about the world. What do you think who else can relate? I got my hand up. What do you think what is your favorite tool in your book for getting us through these tough times?
Yeah, can I teach one?
Yes, we would love
Okay.
that.
Okay, great. So let's learn alternate temple tapping, which is a simple technique of tapping on the temples while you're thinking about or talking about the stress you're feeling. And let's just do this and while I explain what it is. So there is a mechanism in the body called the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, and it is actually in part governed by part of your energy system, which is what I work with. Many of you will know about the energy system if you go to acupuncture or use Ayurvedic practices or principles. But essentially, the energy system, the energy pathway that governs the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, which makes you feel overwhelmed and panicked and stressed, runs on the sides of your head, from your temples, down the sides of your neck, down your arms. And when you tap on these points while you're thinking about stress, it actually helps recalibrate your body and change the relationship between the stress that you're thinking about or feeling and what your body is doing. So tapping on these points helps you calm your body down in relationship to the stress that you're feeling. We're tapping alternately because we are stimulating, it's called bilateral stimulation. We're stimulating both sides of the brain and both sides of the energy system, which help really, really release stress. And so when you're feeling stressed, whether it's about a writing block or the day ahead, you just take a couple of minutes and sit down, close your eyes, and actually allow your stress to have a voice, allow your stress to have a feeling, which means acknowledging it instead of pushing it away. And you tap like this at the same time, it will help to mitigate or release the stress from your body and calm your entire system down. Easy, right?
I'm actually already feeling calmer.
Yes, it's quick and it's so easy. Kids can do this, older people can do it, everybody can do it.
So you think about your stress and you tap. Should you say it out loud or is just thinking about it
You
enough?
can. A lot of times I say it out loud. It will look something like this. You'll see what's in my brain. I'm so stressed. I have so much to do today. I feel so much pressure about X, Y, and Z. My stomach feels tight. So it's really improv. You just talk about and give voice to the stress. And what you're doing is you're bringing it up and allowing it out. And essentially the tapping is helping you release it, tap it out of the system, and then rebalance your body as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Mighty Blaze friends, I have a confession, a true confession, mystery style. So I have been using Amy's techniques for 7 years now. And I've been really open about the fact that I've always struggled with anxiety. And now during the pandemic, my God, it's never been higher. And these tools have really, really helped me. So I've tried pretty much everything out there twice. Uh, and these tools have really worked well for me. And I love it because I have gotten acupuncture, but I'm afraid of needles. So this is even better because I'm tapping the acupuncture points, but I don't have to face my fear of needles. So, Amy, I'm a huge fan. This is really great.
Thank you. And this is really work. It's important, and as we see this in a pandemic, it's important that we have tools that we can use for ourselves because sometimes we can't go to the acupuncture. Remember when everything was closed, like everything, right? So it is so important for us to get external support when we can and when we need it, but also to have some tools that we can use for ourselves in case we can't afford to go get help. We don't have physical access to help. It's actually so calming in and of itself to the body to know that there are things we can do to soothe ourselves.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So we have just 2 minutes left with Amy. It's the lightning round, fam. So if you have any questions for Amy about her book, upside down, how to heal yourself from depression when no one else can, a self-guided program to stop feeling like poop. Stop feeling like shit. If you have any questions about her book, about her writing, about her career, anything you'd like to ask Amy, go ahead and get those. I think we have time for just 1 or 2 more questions. And this is, what we do here is give you access to this incredible author. Amy, what do you think is, what I know you wrote this book because you want to help people, because you want to give people those tools. How much time per day do you think people need to spend doing this stuff?
10 to 20 minutes.
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
right.
doable.
We all have that because we all have that to sit around and worry and feel like crap anyway. So yeah, it's actually with this work, it's more the consistency than the amount of time you spend.
Ooh, interesting. So
Yeah.
just 15 to 20 minutes a day, a time that, otherwise you might be spending or worrying. I know I would,
Yes.
or raiding the potato chips, also guilty. And you can just start to work through this.
Yep, and
Um,
the book guides you step by step, even 5 minutes a day, if that's all you have. I always tell people the only rule is you have to do the work and make it
mm.
doable for yourself. Whatever. If you only have 5 minutes a day and that's how you'll do it, that's how you should do it.
Oh, I love that. And I just want to remind everyone that through our very special partnership with bookshop.org, which is an incredible organization that supports independent bookstores, which tragically one per week have gone out of business since the pandemic descended. If we want to have independent bookstores when we come out of this, and I know I do, I want to have aisles to browse. I want to have books to smell. I want to have, a place to wander the aisles and drink my coffee. We have to support indie. So you can buy Amy's book today through bookshop.org. Get this incredible book and support independent bookstores. So the link is in the comments. Grab your copy today. Amy, is there anything that you wish I had asked, that one parting thought you'd like to leave us with today?
You did so great. I think my one parting thought might be to remind people to be kind to themselves. This has been an exceptional year in terms of how heavy we all feel. And I want people to know to be kind to themselves and to step by step, little by little, even 5 minutes a day, you can start to emerge from this and reconnect to yourself. It's possible.
Oh, I love that. And I don't know why I find it so hard to be kind to myself, because I'm so kind to my friends and my family, but then I'm so hard on myself thinking you should have it to get it together, Devello. So
Whoever's totally together right now is missing something. So, I always say it's really important to feel. And if you're feeling super happy right now, that's not wrong, but it's for those of us who are feeling heavy, it's okay. There's a lot of heavy stuff. Be kind.
oh, what a perfect note to end on. Amy Scher, internationally renowned energy therapist, best-selling author. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. It has been such a pleasure to host you. And please come back and talk with us when your next book is out.
Thank you. I will. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a joy to be here.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you here next time.
Bye.